It was tough. From an engineering standpoint, it was a lot of fun. Every division had its own engineering. Every division acted as its own company. You know, you have 3 or 5 different 350 engines. If you had a corporate engine, then you only need to make one 350 engine. You can't put a Firebird door on a Camaro. Basically the same car. It was the best job and the worst job I've ever had. $15 years, the auto industry goes through a major change. And I'm trying to put years to it, but it's happening again. And I don't know if my years will work out with all the changes. But yeah, Oldsmobile is going from rear-wheel drive, body on frame, to monocoque or unibody front-wheel drive vehicles. Toronado's a perfect example of that. You know, Toronado was this gigantic coupe with front-wheel drive, and it went to a monocoque from body on frame to a monocoque.
Yeah, and 85, 86 was not pleased with that change. It was a much prettier car before that.
It was a gorgeous car.
It was a gorgeous car, I would agree.
And yeah, so it was tough. From an engineering standpoint, it was a lot of fun because everything is new. And you had to solve these problems. What I had problems with the changeover with is we went from working on Oldsmobiles to working on JN bodies. So
you worked on a Toronado, a Riviera, and Eldorado at the same time?
No, we worked on all Oldsmobiles. Now, this was part of the problem with General Motors, right? Every division had its own engineering. Every division acted as its own company. So when they went through and they hired this consultant. When they came through, they said, you know, you have 3 or 5 different 350 engines, and they're different 350 engines. So we had the rocket engine Oldsmobile. Chevy had a 350. I don't know if you remember the big lawsuit when they started putting Chevy engines in Oldsmobiles because they ran out of Oldsmobile. We had record years in the early 80s of sales.
I did not know this.
They ran out of rocket engines, so they put GM or Chevrolet engines into them, and then there was a class action suit against them because I bought an Oldsmobile. I'm kind of expecting an Oldsmobile rocket engine, and the design was slightly different. So things like that, the consultant came back and said, you know, you're doing some things that are highly inefficient. If you had a corporate engine, then you only need to make one 350 engine or a 5-liter 305 engine like this. F bodies, which were Camaros and Firebirds, same vehicle, the side outer or the front door was different. You can't put a Firebird door on a Camaro. Basically the same car.
Even into the, what was the 82 to 89 series, that you couldn't just swap them?
Well, that's where things started changing. So after the changeover and we became BOC and CPC, the goal was to commonize this. So this is when a Cadillac started looking like a Chevrolet, and you know, everything, the lines got very blurred. General Motors took the pendulum and swung it completely the opposite way.
Too far. That's why you had a Cimarron.
And that's why we had a Cimarron. They made a lot of money on Cimarron, but
terrible car.
Yeah, it wasn't a Cadillac.
No.
It was a J-body. I worked on J-bodies now and N-bodies, so GM20 was the N-body. Not very exciting.
Were you there quad 4 time?
I was. Funny story about quad 4. So we talk about evaluation. I was in engine evaluation at the time. And the quad 4 actually started, I don't know, that's been a long time, so probably that's dirty laundry is okay. But the quad 4 started by taking an old 350 engine out of the boneyard, and we just basically lopped off half of it. And we didn't physically cut it off, but when we ran half the engine as proof of concept.
So you did the reverse of what Triumph did with the Stag.
Yes.
They took 2 4-cylinders, put it together, you just chopped it in half. But then what's the other? Now, there's a lot of people watching who have no idea what a quad 4 is. What was that engine, for the avoidance of doubt?
It was called the 483 before it became the quad 4, but it was a 4-cylinder. It was GM's first real 4-cylinder.
What was really important about that was the head was different.
Yes.
Way different. I mean, this was space-age technology for for General Motors was a 16 valve.
The 16 valve, opposed to the Iron Duke, 2.5 liter.
Truly terrible.
The Iron Duke was a good engine.
I had an 84 Fiero. Loved it. But that car could not get out of its own way.
Oh,
with the
I didn't say it was powerful, but
definitely not.
It was a good it was a bulletproof engine. There wasn't a whole lot
reliable. The clutch not so much, but yeah.
Oh, that's not the engine though.
So how long?
That's the driver.
How is that sounds? Okay. I'm going to be driving your Sequoia very shortly, so we'll see about that. How long did you end up staying at General Motors?
I was only there to 85. Basically, after the changeover, I was working in chassis division, chassis design. And I was the snot-nosed kid on the block. And everybody else was 20-year my senior.
Were you working with Ed Welburn at that time?
Ed Welburn.
Because he was running design for Automobile at that time.
Design.
Like drawing cars.
I don't know. I didn't. I worked in chassis. We didn't deal with those guys.
Okay.
But yeah. So the changeover. Everybody. The goal was to basically reduce white collar workforce by 10%, and each company, each division would focus on their parts. But in Lansing, we made all the rear ends for all the front wheel drive cars, and GM made all the gas tanks and for that. And so we went out and hired gas tank engineers, and they went and hired rear end engineers, and the white collar workforce actually went up. And to countermeasure that, they just started cutting benefits and stuff. Didn't affect me because I didn't have anything. I was the young
man.
But it made the work atmosphere not so pleasant. Again, it was the best job and the worst job I've ever had. And then I went from there to Chrysler.
So before we go to Chrysler, would you say it's harder working in the car world now or back then?
It's different.
But not harder or easier?
It's just different.
If you enjoyed this content, please like the video and consider subscribing to see even more content like this. And to listen to or watch the full podcast version of this episode, search Motoman TV Podcast in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the video description below. We have all new episodes each Wednesday. Thanks for watching.